Hello, this is Nick from ReviewOutlaw.com. Today I want to review the Motley options service. So this is a paid-for subscription. Basically, it's a beginner level, I'd say, place where you can learn about how to trade options, and they give you a really safety net. You're doing it together with a bunch of other people, and kind of this is for someone who's maybe never traded options. I had never traded really options before this. And they give you kind of they walk you through a video guide and kind of do it together all at once. Let's buy our or sell actually our first option. You're doing it for short-term gains, yet you're investing for the long term. So they have different strategies, kind of beginner level strategies, and they just give you a guide on where to get started. So this is for the kind of person who wants to be more active. I would recommend Motley Fool's Stock Advisor if you just kind of want to buy it, set it, forget it forever. But if you're one of these people who kind of like to get into a trade and like to make changes and just want to be more active and more investigated, or just want to learn something new that you find interesting, and it's kind of more of a technical kind of thing. There's more of a strategy to it. So if you're kind of a strategist and you like those kind of strategy games, I'd say this is going to be fun for you. So I first got into this maybe about 2 years ago, knew very little to nothing about options. It was kind of a scary thing for me doing that first option because you read it everywhere. It can be risky, how much you could lose a bunch of money, don't do it, don't do the wrong thing. So what's great about this service is they have an intro for you, and you kind of come in together with a bunch of other people, and they do a little video guide, or actually a streaming live kind of stream, and say we're going to purchase our first thing together. Now the first thing you guys probably want to know, well, that's great, but how much does it cost? Because that's kind of where I was. So they don't tell you the price up front anywhere, but basically they have a 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. The 1 year is like $900, about around $1,000. 3 years is about between $15 to $17.50, depending on the time of year, and they raise their prices and stuff. So basically, you get the most money for the 3 year, and they do have a refund policy. If you just don't like it and you get into it, this isn't for me, you can actually request a refund. So they stand behind their product pretty good, which I do like. Also, another positive thing is their win ratio. They do post online, and it's very high. They have about a 90% win rate because they choose option strategies that are very successful. They don't want to lose money, and I'm sure you don't either. So they kind of go with that high win rate. Now this is the back end here. So what you get for this service mainly is the education portion of it, which is under like the guidebook. But I like the fact that you kind of doing this together, and you're putting in you get basically weekly strategies emailed to you, and you can see that under home here. Here's a couple of their strategies you can start basically. So here would be an example of like Apple, and right now reading this, if you don't know much about options, it really doesn't going to make much sense to you about buy to open and all these kind of numbers. But through the video guide, they're going to do these kind of starting strategies with you and do that first one, and you can kind of see what does that result in. Does that let me get money and things like that? And over time you start building your confidence, and you read and investigate more about what's a call, what's a put, what does a sell to open mean, and over time you eventually can branch out and do your own strategies. Now I look through these strategies and I don't actually do all of them. I might say, well, this one right here kind of matches my personality, depending on how much money I want to risk. See, they kind of tell you right here, can you risk $10,000, for example? Something up here might be more money, or this one actually is less money, $3,000 in potential stock purchase. So depending on how much money you have available, that's going to depend on which strategy is going to be right for you. And there's some that requires a lot less capital as well when you're first getting started. But you want an okay size account. You don't want to be doing this with very little money in here. Something that you probably want to be doing stock trading or stop purchasing for 2 or 3 years, I'd say. Just get comfortable with that, then go to this more advanced side of things. So let's go through kind of what else they give you here. They kind of also tell you what happens if things go wrong. So let's say they recommend something in Apple and it was a bullish trade and they assumed that Apple was going to go up and it went the wrong way. Well, they're going to give you some strategies to possibly get out of that, or like, you know what, the strategy went against us. Here's what we're going to do to minimize that loss. So that's very helpful, because if you did options yourself, you kind of, and it goes the wrong way, you don't really know what to do and you're kind of freaking out. Well, here they're going to tell you what to do, which is promising. Now, that doesn't always mean that they're actually you're going to win money 100% of the time, and nothing in life is 100% of the time. There's going to be a couple losers and there's going to be some up, but as you can see here, 93% of just recommendations had a positive rate of return, and 87 of gyms. So you can kind of decide who you want to follow here, or you can mix and match these together, but that's a very high percentage. So options basically is something that a more advanced trader should learn, but it's I think it's fun. It's cool. Now I pick my favorite companies mainly to invest in. So I'll do like Amazon, I'll do Facebook, I'll do Apple, those big tech companies, and sometimes companies I haven't heard of, but for the most part I stick to tech companies that I like. And then I do follow some of their advice, and then I go out, and since I've learned their stuff, now I've tried a couple other different option trading services out there, and I'll give you guys a couple links in the show notes about some other ones that I also like and recommend. But I think Fool, if you've never done anything with stock options, this is a great place to kind of learn, and you get a great community here. Speaking of the community here, if you have any like oddball questions or something like that, or you just were wondering, well, how do I do this, or what does this mean, you can actually post something in here, and there's a lot of different people that will respond to you very quickly, and you can talk about different strategies that you have and things like that. So that's also helpful. So you can actually put your you can't yet do options in the scorecard, which is unfortunate. So you can do stocks, but you can't do options. Guidebook, this is helpful when you're just beginning to learn. I'd read through this. I do wish that they'd have more videos on these kind of things, and I think that's something where they lack a bit. Some of the other services do have more in-depth. I'm a visual learner, so reading's okay, but I'll learn and retain it much more with video. That's why I do enjoy the monthly kind of video check-in they do, where they do like a streamcast, and you can go in and you can do, it's a live thing, so you can go and ask them live questions like, I don't really understand what you just said, can you explain that in depth a little bit more? So that is very helpful, but this is okay to read through. This is something, if you're more of a reader, this would be helpful for you. So overall, I would say I definitely recommend this service. I mean, it's not the cheapest service by any means. For about $1,500 for 3 years, that would work out to be, I don't know, 600 and something bucks a year. But if you look at like education, so if you took a college level course or you went to school, you're going to be paying for that education. So if you look at it as more of an kind of educating yourself, I think it's well worth it. And I've definitely made that much and much more off doing actual stock options. So I've made that back in spades, and it's something that if you look at it your whole life, depending on your age right now, even if you're 50 and you're going to go to maybe something you can trade when you retire. So it's one of those things that it's not a physical thing, it's more of a mental. And once you learn those key concepts and key strategies, you can keep doing that by yourself, and it just lasts for your whole lifetime. So I think it's well worth the money. If you're kind of on the fence, basically I would say it's definitely there. Now there are some other services out there that are free, and again I'll put those in the show notes if you just don't have the money for it. But I think if you do have the money and it's something you really want to be serious about, spending a little money on it as well will kind of, for me, is like, what, I don't want to waste this money. I'm really going to put the extra effort in to learning this stuff because it wasn't free, and I want to make sure I get the most value out of it. Hopefully you guys liked the video. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you have time, please subscribe to my channel, click here to watch more videos, or please give me a thumbs up. Thanks.